Southern California, welcome to the Dino and Nelson Show, Saturday afternoons from 5 to 6 p.m. and Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m. on Money Radio 1150 AM KTLK. Do you own a home or have plans to in the future? You'll get all the information you need to know about what's happening in the local real estate market and how to take advantage of that knowledge. How to approach home ownership or mortgage financing with design, vision, and focus, as well as accurate information. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, listen to Real Estate Radio with Dino and Nelson Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m. right here on Money Radio KTLK AM 1150.
Good afternoon. This is Dino.
And this is Nelson. Thank you.
From the Dino and Nelson Show.
You like that, huh?
I
caught
do.
me sleeping.
He always gets mad at me because I don't let him introduce himself. So finally I do, and all he does is sit over there and sleep.
Yeah, well, that's. I don't think the listeners would really respond to the Dino and Dino show. So
all right.
Lucky
well,
I'm
anyways, we have a tremendous lineup today. We have our economic outlook and the world of credit with noted author and Wall Street analyst Jordan Goodman.
He's going to look at managing our current debt, just what homeowners, what individuals do with their current debt load, and then ultimately, even with their mortgage, how to accelerate that and become debt free.
And we're also going to spend a little bit of time with Rod Thyberg of TLC Real Estate Services, gaining insights on maneuvering in today's quickly changing real estate market.
And you know, the quickly changing market is that influx of short sales. So for those people that haven't been able to get loan modifications, Rod Thyberg from TLC Real Estate Services is going to be able to give us some insights on what to do and use his company for some of those services in terms of short selling property that's now gone underwater.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a great show. So this next segment, the first segment actually, is going to be Hot Off the Net, brought to you by First Centennial Mortgage, providing market-leading interest rates guaranteed. You can text the word REFI to 313131. That's text the word REFI to 313131, and Nelson or I would be glad to help you out. You know, Nelson, before we get started on Hot Off the Net, all your infamous news stories, I actually have one thing here, and I'm going to compliment him for the first time. If you've been listening to our shows, you know that I have a very difficult time complimenting Nelson. But today, we have an extra special guest, even though she's going to kill me when we're done. She probably won't get on air, but Nelson's wife is here, admiring him in all his glory. He even wore a suit today so he can look good. So make sure you get online at dinoandnelson.com or at Facebook at the Dino and Nelson Show and see how beautiful she is.
My lovely wife,
the
Deborah.
one thing he has in life that I'm going to compliment him on.
Well, thank you so much. Hot off the net, and that's not my wife. I want to talk to you a little bit about a report out of CNN talking about moving into this political season that we're about to launch and how the economy is responding and how it's not really doing Obama any favors. They're talking about how unemployment is probably going to ride its way above 8% all the way through the election. And I'm curious, Dino, what do you think? Is this economy recovering? Is it not recovering? Is it going to actually prevent Obama from getting a second term?
It's good questions. The one thing I've learned in the last 4 or 5 years is that it doesn't really matter what you think or what direction.
There's obviously something that you've learned.
Something seems to be going in. Everything can change. Snap of the fingers, drop of the dime. It's different, just like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Change is coming.
I do, however, think that things are getting better. At least it appears to be in my world.
Well, and from an economic standpoint, it's not just the ma and pa America that's impacted by our economy. You saw in the headlines, and it made national headlines in terms of cities now that are wrestling with bankruptcy. And the city of Stockton was in tremendous economic trouble. It's spurred on by the housing.
San Bernardino, too, I think,
San Bernardino's on the bubble, and we had our mayor in Los Angeles that stepped forward and said, hey, LA's on sound footing, no problems here. But there's these different cities that have just wrestled with our economy, and they're having to cut back on services, unable to extend the normal.
So what causes a city to go bankrupt?
Well, it could be bad investments. We saw that a few years ago with Orange County having to file bankruptcy, and they just took some of their capital base, put it in an investment pool that went south, and it stripped them of a lot of their resources.
I thought they just send the cops out to write more tickets, though, and everything's fine.
Well, in your world.
Isn't that how it happens?
All right, yeah. So get this. I'm going to switch gears from that economic environment. This is an actual real estate for sale sign that someone was using to market their property up in Oregon. And the headline, it was out of the OC Register, "Scorned Woman Makes Husband's Affair Public in house for sale sign. The sign read, "Husband left us for a 22-year-old. House for sale by owner." What do you think about that? I mean, are people really doing this to sell their homes?
It's marketing. Marketing at its best.
Well, and this sign has gone viral. It's certainly the intent, I think, was this woman who simply wanted to sell her home, and she didn't mind selling out her husband along the way. And obviously, he earned the right. But it's gone across the country, and she's actually getting a lot of flack for this because of the public attention that's been drawn to it and how that may impact their kids.
It's a little much. And when I read it, the first thing I thought, husband left us, which means she has kids. And I'm just sitting there saying, really, if that's what you're going to do, slander your husband, no matter what he did, you still have children. Don't stoop to that level.
Unbelievable. So just to close out this segment, we want to take another quick peek at mortgage rates. Out of the Washington Post, they say mortgage rates continue their descent. And I don't know how low they're going to go. I think that we have many examples of people that have been lulled into this complacency thinking that rates are going to be at this level, if not better, and they're not taking action. So here, Dino, you and I are representing 30-year fixed rates that are in the low threes, and people saying, you know what, I want to find something just a little bit better. Come on.
Stupid. I say this every single week. If you truly are on the fence and you're one of those people that is going to be on the fence, thinking there's going to be better rates, it truly is it's stupid. Take the rate right now. Take it. If it drops any lower than that, do it again. I mean, we're doing refinances at no cost right now. Just refinance, no cost. You have a realized savings immediately from month one. If it drops 6 months later, do it again. It's not a big deal. It's just a little bit of paperwork.
And so grab the rates while they're here. And this is something that I think is just sound advice. I've been at this long enough, as you have, Dino, where we see when the market does change, it changes in a flash and rates skyrocket. They don't just meander their way up, they skyrocket. And then all of a sudden, when we're looking at rates that are at 3.5%, and we go to 4.5%, 5%, still exceptional interest rates, but people saying, oh, I shoulda, I woulda, I coulda.
The last two times that I remember that rates jumped, right, when we had all-time lows, once again, we had all-time lows literally in minutes. They not only jumped, but they jumped a whole point, a whole 1% interest rate. I mean, it's done just like that.
Right. And what I've said for years, they're always quick to jump up, slow to recover. So no identity that rates could recover if they finally start that trend upwards. Well, just as a reference then to close this out, 30-year fixed rates, they're falling in the mid-threes. This is on conforming loan balances and what we call conforming high balances up to loan amounts of $625,500. 15-year fixed rates are below the 3% marker, so they're exceptional opportunities. Get in a fixed rate in the twos, which is just funny to say, and get to the finish line in 15 years and half the time. And then we have the high balance. Still, fixed rates, 30 years and 15 years that are in the threes for loan balances for up to $2 million.
You and I just priced one out last week, 2.875%. Remember, it was I think $1 million loan for I think, what was it, a 5 or 7 year fix?
Exactly.
That's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane. Text the word refi to 313131, and Dino or Nelson would be glad to help you. Or you can call us at 888-814-3335. That's 888-814-3335. DinoandNelson.com. We'll be right back with Jordan Goodman, America's Money Answers Man.
You want to invest in today's real estate market and take advantage of the low values, but the property needs work. What do? Polaris Equity Group provides an answer with its market-exclusive 100% rehab program. The Polaris loan covers the purchase price, down payment, rehab budget, 6 months of interest, and lender's costs, all in exchange for a profit split between you and us. Call Polaris Equity Group to hear more about it. 949-727-4333. That's 949-727-4333. Take advantage of their exclusive 100% rehab program. 949-727-4333. Or find us online at polarisequitygroup.com.
Are you frustrated with what sounds like all mortgage radio? Record low rates, rates may not be here for long, the biggest brain freeze in the history of mankind, call cash cow now, blah, blah, blah. Call First Centennial Mortgage and speak to Dino and Nelson direct. Guess what? We answer the phone. Market-leading rates that are guaranteed and our close-on-time guarantee. This week's rates plunged again. Our 30-year fixed rates are priced in the mid-threes for conforming loan amounts up to $625,000, and in the remarkable category of jumbo financing, up to $2 million, rates below 4%. Truly exceptional opportunities, guaranteed.
Market-leading rates brought to you by Dino and Nelson from First Centennial Mortgage. They're not a call center. Call today and deal with Dino or Nelson direct at 888-814-3335. 888-814-3335. First Centennial Mortgage. Market-leading rates, guaranteed. Call 888-814-3335 or text the word REFI to 313131. First Centennial Mortgage. NMLS number 132763. All rates subject to change without notice.
This is Nelson from the Dino and Nelson Show, and finally, a reputable legal firm. CDA Law Center, a nationally recognized nonprofit homeowner advocate, one of the most trusted firms in the country for helping consumers with their loan modification process. CDA's attorneys have decades of combined experience guiding their clients through the very complex and choppy waters of loan modification. Call 877-499-4435. 877-499-4435. Finally, honest and ethical advice to gain real results. Call CDA Law Center at 877-499-4435 or online at cdalawcenter.com.
Ever been frustrated during a real estate transaction, wondering just when you'll receive that phone call or status about your title insurance or escrow? With Title 365, consumers like you gain unprecedented access to the status of their title insurance and escrow transactions in real time. Title 365 was created with all the benefits you'd expect, so it's never been easier to download your documents, see what's outstanding, post a question, or connect with all parties online. Ask your realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title 365 today, or visit Title365.com.
Welcome back to the Dino and Nelson Show here on K-Talk, AM 1150 every weekend afternoon. We can be reached at 888-814-3335. This next segment is brought to you by CDA Law Center, providing ethical and accurate counsel. For more information about loan modifications, text the word MOD, M-O-D, to 313131. That's text the word MOD to 313131.
So, Dino, I'm really excited about our guest here. We have Jordan Goodman with us, and I just want to tell you a little bit about him. He's obviously came out of school, a graduate of Amherst College, received his master's degree from Columbia University in journalism, went on to an 18-year stint with Money in the foremost personal finance magazine in the U.S., where Jordan reported and wrote on every aspect of personal finance. From there, went on to author 13 highly acclaimed books, including the last book, Master Your Debt. He's been a national commentator for major TV news networks such as CNN, CBS, ABC, Fox News, The Dino and Nelson Show.
Can you believe that? The Dino and Nelson Show.
Yeah.
Now I've made it to the top. Yep.
Now it's at the pinnacle.
This is the pinnacle.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan, welcome to our show.
Great to be with you guys.
Obviously, we want to dive in on the whole debt platform. Our country, bleeding all the way down to
Nelson,
the residents that make up our country. We are just a debt-laden country, and whether it's at the government level or the municipal level, the city level, or just in our backyards and at the homeowner level, everybody is struggling with debt load. I mean, are you finding?
Well, they are, but if you do it right, debt can be good. If you do it wrong, it can really be crushing. I mean, on the mortgage side, we have the lowest mortgage rates we've ever seen in our lifetimes. I'm not sure how long it's going to last, but this is the golden era right now. People are going to look back and say, remember July 2012? What was I thinking when I didn't refinance my mortgage? I mean, you can get about 3.5% on 30-year fixed, 2.9%, sometimes even lower on 15-year fixed. So if you have an existing mortgage of 4% or higher and you haven't refinanced yet, I think you're insane, basically.
Basic insanity. Well, and here's the message that we're extending as well. I mean, people are still looking at these now available 3.5% interest rates and going, well, you know what? I think it may get a little bit better. Now, that's insanity, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been saying this all the way down. And, I mean, they've been right. Rates did keep falling. But you just have to take advantage of these things. I mean, the reason this is happening is, particularly in Europe, there's just such concern about what's happening with the euro and Spain and Italy and Greece and all these places that people are pouring money out of Europe and other places into the U.S. Treasury as a safety haven. And they're more willing to get their money back and get almost no return than not get their money back at all. So that's pushing our interest rates down to these incredibly low levels. But it's not going to last. I mean, we have these enormous deficits. We've got the fiscal cliff. I could give you all kinds of reasons why things are not looking so good here. And at some point, that's going to hit and interest rates are going to go up. So definitely you need to be refinancing. Now, the good news is not only with people with equity, but people without equity can refinance their mortgages as well. There's something called the HARP 2 program out there, the Home Affordable Refinance Program, version 2, which is allowing people with as much as 50% underwater to refinance their mortgages. And they specialize in going through that exact process because you have to qualify with the lenders. But if you do, you'd be surprised. A lot of these people have been paying 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% interest, and they've been paying on time. The value of their home has been falling. They watch everybody else get these 3 and 4% rates and say, I want that too, but they can't get it because they're underwater. Now, with this YouCanRefi.com and HARP 2, you actually can refinance and get yourself a much lower rate.
Jordan, we're finding with the HARP 2.0 program, and Dino and I go back and forth on this in terms of whether that's a real benefit or if that's just another example of a bailout. Obviously, the people that have been on the sidelines unable to refinance because they've lost their equity, they're now having a lifeline thrown to them, and I think it's okay. I mean, the common question that I get is, listen, I'm paying my bills on time. I'm continuing to pay my high interest rate mortgage. Why shouldn't I be eligible to refinance? I had nothing to do with the downturn in value.
That's right. This is finally a break for the responsible. I mean, mostly what we've been doing is bailing out the irresponsible and taxing the responsible. That's the way it's been working. All the people who didn't need help, were getting all kinds of bailouts one way left than the other, and the people who were doing the responsible things were just not getting any help at all. So finally, HARP 2, I think, is helping people who've been responsible. Now, if you've missed your payments, you're not going to be able to get a HARP 2 refinance. You've got to be pretty much perfect on that front. If you're missing payments, that's another program, which is called the HAMP program, the Home Affordable Modification Program. Before we get
into that, Jordan, I want to turn the clock back just a little bit, because last week we were talking about some new legislation that's working its way through the process, and it's consumer protection and protection against some of the predatory lending that we've seen in years past. And I just wanted to ask you that question.
Sure.
What do you think about people that have quote unquote been victimized by the mortgage process?
Well, they should get some restitution. I mean, these people got into loans that really were predatory and shouldn't have been in there in the first place. The so-called Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, which was set up a year ago as part of the Dodd-Frank regulation, has now come out with some regulations to stop predatory lending. But in the past, people were getting into loans that were just completely over their heads, and it was ridiculous that they got into them in the first place. In a case like that, people can do what's called a mortgage audit, and they will see if it was a predatory loan. If it was predatory, they will go after them. There's no fees up front. On the back end, if they collect something, they'll take a piece of, it's kind of a contingency situation. So in many cases, people got into so-called negative amortization loans. That's where you owe more every month, which is not a good thing. Interest-only loans, which is good for the first 5 years, and then it blows up in your face. All kinds of things that were done back in the mid-2000s that have been blowing up left and right.
But Jordan, how is that predatory lending? I mean,
well, because the people should not have been qualified. In many cases, they're actually forging the information to get them loans. That's pretty predatory. Getting somebody into a loan, knowing in advance they really cannot pay it, and therefore the house forecloses on. The mortgage brokers got their fees and ran off anyway. They didn't care what happened to it afterwards. So that's what was predatory about it.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question. We have to break for a couple of ads right now, but I wanted to follow up on that because I really have an opinion that not everybody's the victim out there. So I want to dive a little bit deeper on that when we get back.
Just in case you just jumped in your car, you're listening to the Dino and Nelson Show here on K-Talk AM 1150. We can be reached at 888-814-3335. That's 888-814-3335. This segment is brought to you by CDA Law Center, providing ethical and accurate counsel. For more information about loan modifications, text the word MOD, M-O-D, to 313131. That's text the word MOD to 313131 or call the Dino and Nelson Show at 888-814-3335.
So, Jordan, you mentioned the negatively amortizing loans as an example of predatory lending, and perhaps even interest-only loans.
Right.
Now, granted, there were people that committed fraud to get people into mortgages that they didn't qualify for, but I guess I take exception that those mortgage types in themselves were predatory lending. Is that what you're saying?
Well, a lot of people did not really understand what they were taking on, and they got lured into something thinking it was a surefire winner. So an interest-only loan, for example, you're paying interest only for the first 5 years or so, and then that feels really good. You're making no progress whatsoever towards the principal. But say you have a 30-year mortgage, and now after 5 years, the principal starts kicking in, your payment goes up dramatically, doubles, or in many cases more than that, because now you have to pay off a 30-year loan in 25 years. So a lot of people did not either realize that or they were just wishful thinking or something. And I think that's somewhat predatory to get people into a loan that's just bound to blow up for them, and that's exactly what's been happening all over the place.
Okay, but if you're old enough to buy a house, aren't you old enough to understand what you're getting into?
In many cases, no. I don't think it's a matter of age. It's a matter of education. And people throw all these documents at you, written in legalese, and people have stars in their eyes about wanting to buy the home. So, I mean, you see the reality. We've had over 5 million foreclosures in this country in the last 4 years. The estimates are there'll be another 5 million in the next 3 years or so. So those 10 million people got it over their heads.
I agree with you as far as all the legal documents are thrown in front of them. If I could have my way, I'd say take it down to 10 documents and make everybody read everything.
Well, supposedly that's what's happening now. This Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has put out these new rules, which are probably going to go into effect later this year, which make it much clearer as to what the loan estimate's going to be and what the closing fees are going to be, which has not been clear in the past in many cases. So they're trying to simplify this as much as lawyers can ever simplify anything.
The question that I have there with certainly people that didn't understand the complexity of what was going to take place with these mortgages, I actually found in my lending practice there were certain examples where those loan types did serve somebody well in the context of, let's say it's a 5-year interest only, but they only plan on being in the home for 3 or 4 years. They weren't chasing the dream of this home's going to double in value, and they just wanted to manage a lower mortgage payment. That wouldn't be predatory lending, would it?
Well, it wouldn't, but what's happened is a lot of people said, well, I'm only going to be in the house for 3 or 4 years, and then 3 or 4 years comes up, and they can't sell the house, okay? So they're going to stay in their house longer than they anticipated. Or the new job they thought they were going to get in another city doesn't materialize. So,
okay, but if you had gotten a 30-year fixed, wouldn't the same thing apply?
Well,
the same thing would have happened, right?
Well, the difference with an interest only is that you're living in a dream world for 5 years, and then reality hits you all at once. With a 30-year fixed, you know exactly what you're getting for 30 years. So those interest onlys, it jumps up extremely dramatically, and people don't think that that's going to happen to them because, again, I won't be there when the 5th year happens. In many cases, people are there when the 5th year happens because the economy turned down. They couldn't sell their house for anything.
Hey, Jordan, hang tight for 1 sec. We got to break to commercial, but we got plenty to talk to. You're listening to the Dino Nelson Show here on K-Talk AM 1150. We can be reached at 888-814-3335, 888-814-3335, or at dinoandnelson.com. We'll be right back.
In a chaotic real estate market, you want peace of mind when it comes to the home you're purchasing. Roadrunner Exterminating, a family-owned and operated company providing structural repairs, local treatments, and fumigation. Roadrunner Exterminating is a licensed, bonded, and insured expert in termite, pest control, and general contracting. For fast and efficient service, plus the peace of mind of knowing the condition of your new home, call Roadrunner Exterminating at 866-398-BUGS. That's 866-398-BUGS. Or on the web at roadrunnerexterminating.com. As always, mention the Dino and Nelson Show and get a free home inspection. 866-398-BUGS or roadrunnerexterminating.com. General Contractor License 922404. Nominal fee for escrow inspections.
This is Nelson from the Dino and Nelson Show, and I want to tell you about one of our show partners, Efficient Services Escrow. As the name implies, Efficient Services Escrow provides lenders, realtors, home buyers, and sellers with fast, efficient, but most importantly, worry-free specialty escrow services. Dino and I know firsthand that real estate transactions can be complex and layered with areas of exposure for details to be handled incorrectly. The number one reason we work with Efficient Services Escrow is their seasoned veterans are reliable, proactive, And best of all, provide us worry-free escrow services. With any real estate sale, purchase, or refinance, call our trusted friends at Efficient Services Escrow, 949-208-9600. That's 949-208-9600, and let them know that Dino and Nelson sent you. Efficient Services Escrow at 949-208-9600 or online at efficientescrow.com.
What do you do when your bank simply says no to your real estate purchase? Polaris Equity Group provides an answer. Yes. Our flexible purchase and bridge loan programs are the direct result of our involvement in more than 3,000 transactions of varying size and complexity. Since 1991, Polaris has completed over $500 million in real estate investment transactions using both debt and equity solutions. When the bank says no, call Polaris Equity Group to hear yes. 949-727-4333. That's 949-727-4333. Logical decisions to execute a timely close. 949-727-4333. Or find us online at polarisequitygroup.com.
Are you frustrated with what sounds like all mortgage radio? Record low rates, rates may not be here for long, the biggest brain freeze in the history of mankind, call cash cow now, blah, blah, blah. Call First Centennial Mortgage and speak to Dino and Nelson direct. Guess what? We answer the phone. Market-leading rates that are guaranteed and our close-on-time guarantee. This week's rates plunged again. Our 30-year fixed rates are priced in the mid-threes for conforming loan amounts up to $625,000, and in the remarkable category of jumbo financing, up to $2 million, rates below 4%. Truly exceptional opportunities, guaranteed.
Market leading rates brought to you by Dino and Nelson from First Centennial Mortgage. They're not a call center. Call today and deal with Dino or Nelson direct at 888-814-3335. 888-814-3335. First Centennial Mortgage. Market leading rates, guaranteed. Call 888-814-3335 or text the word refi to 313131. First Centennial Mortgage. NMLS number 132763. All rates subject to change without notice. Ever been frustrated during a real estate transaction? Wondering just when you'll receive that phone call or status about your title insurance or escrow? With Title 365, consumers like you gain unprecedented access to the status of their title insurance and escrow transactions in real time. Title 365 was created with all the benefits you'd expect, so it's never been easier to download your documents, see what's outstanding, post a question, or connect with all parties online. Ask your realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title 365 today, or visit Title365.com.
The Dino and Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Dino and Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Welcome back to the Dino and Nelson Show here on K-Talk, AM 1150. We have our special guest, Jordan Goodman, America's Money Answers man.
Jordan, I had a question for you. You know, obviously, as we were talking about the issue of borrowers being victimized, and I know there were so many examples out there of borrowers that were just put into debt that they couldn't flat out afford. Right. And their only gateway to exit that was a sale event. Values went down, they couldn't sell, and here we have the mess that we're in today. So I totally get that. I just think that there's potentially some people that are jumping onto that bandwagon that did know what they were doing, and it was a situation where they're now trying to, maybe a bad analogy, but the horse thieves that are trading horses again in the context of, okay, I got what I wanted going in, I didn't get what I wanted going out, so now I'm going to jump onto this bandwagon and claim victimization.
Yeah, no, I agree. People should be responsible for what they take on. If you take on a mortgage, you should pay it back. And so I agree with you. A lot of people kind of, in hindsight, say I shouldn't have got into this when things went the wrong way. It's like a stock that goes down. and you blame the broker for it. Well,
Right.
you have to have some responsibility in this case. But it's some people were hit with predatory loans, some people not. Now, there's not a lot of predatory loans going on today. I mean, this was all going on in the mid-2000s.
Right.
There are no more subprime lenders, basically. There's nobody in that market, really.
This was a marketplace that frustrated me to begin with, because I focused on the people that did just that. They borrowed money, they paid it back on schedule, and I still remember, nothing against the profession of hairstyling, but I remember sitting in front of my hairstylist and getting my haircut, and she's talking about making purchases, fourplexes around the country, and I'm going, gosh, can you really afford to play that game?
Right. No, but they found out later.
And they found out after the fact. They were just signing papers left and right. And like Dina was saying, I'm absolutely convinced that she wasn't reading the documentation.
Of course not. Even if they did read it, they wouldn't understand. It was like a game of musical chairs, and then the music stopped, and a lot of people kind of got caught, way overextended. And that's why you saw what happened. It happened.
Yeah, exactly. So in that vein, I want to switch gears, focus on the credit a little bit. I want to ask you the question: what can you do to monitor and improve your credit report, and improve your credit score?
Lots of things. A lot of people don't really have a good sense of what's going on with their credit report and score, and then it blows up on them in a time that's too late to do something about it. You don't want to be in a car dealership applying for a car loan, and the guy goes back and says, do you realize you defaulted on your student loan and you're late on all your credit? No, that's not me. That's not the place to clear up your credit report, okay? You want to have it done well before you apply for credit anywhere. Just be on top of it anytime.
So how do you correct errors?
You have to write a letter to the creditor that put it on there in the first place and get it off. Now, there's a law called the FACTA law, the Fair and Accurate Credit Transactions Act, which says that you have the right to challenge errors in your credit report, and the creditor that put it on there has to prove it's accurate within 30 days or it comes off. So there's a whole little legal game of challenging errors in your credit report. In many cases, the creditors do not get back on time, and therefore it has to come off, and it makes your credit score go up.
And if you do need some help with credit repair, just text the word credit to 313131, and we'll put you in touch with the company for that. That's text the word credit to 313131.
So with the focus on credit score, I mean, obviously you're benefiting from high credit scores with being eligible for lower interest rates on the mortgage side. The obvious carries over to the credit card side as well, correct?
Well, very much so. I mean, if you have a low credit score, I'd say 650 or below, you're going to pay well over 20%. I mean, and sometimes 29%. Credit card rates are really, really high these days at a time when you're earning nothing on your savings or checking account. So the banks are making it like bandits. Paying you nothing and charging you 29% doesn't seem fair. And then annual fees and all kinds of fees on top of that as well. So here's some specific things you can do in the credit card area. There are lower credit cards to be had out there. You just have to go find them. All the great deals, frequent flyer miles, hotel points, whatever it may be, there's some great deals. You just have to go get them as opposed to waiting for what shows up in the mail, which is usually the worst kind of deals. The second thing you want to do is if you're really piled under, if you've got a lot of credit card debt at a very high interest rate, go for a non-profit credit counseling place, because they will consolidate all the credit card debt into one payment at a lower interest rate you could never get on your own, typically like 6-7%, something like that. You make one payment to the agency, they pay the creditors. In 2-3 years, you can get out of debt completely, and that'll help you get your credit under control. That's what's called a debt management plan, or DMP.
I'm looking for the perks. I don't have any of those on my credit card. We're with Jordan Goodman, America's Money Answers Man. This segment brought to you by Best Chauffeured, worry-free and on-time limousine transportation services worldwide. Text the word limo to 313131 and let them know that the Dino and Nelson Show sent you their way. So on the perks, there are, I mean, I see the same ads that we all see, that everybody's getting free everything as long as they use their credit card.
That's right.
Is that reality?
Well, it is reality. The best thing, though, is not to have too many perks cards, because you get your perks spread all over the place and you never get to use them. So pick one airline you're going to use the most, one hotel chain, whatever it may be, Amazon, something like that, where you're going to be piling up points, and then you get to use those points for that particular one. And in some cases, it's just the lowest interest rate may be of interest to you if you revolve your balance. There's a lot of different cards for different needs, but that creditcardperks.com is a free place to see all of them and see what's best for your situation.
So what about if you're just simply overwhelmed? You have credit, but you're getting tagged with those high interest rates. Are there alternatives there?
You can surf your balance. You know that the new national sport, it's actually called credit card surfing. It's not baseball. I think it's credit card surfing, because people are surfing their balances left and right with these 0% balance transfer offers. So if you do it right, it can be fine. Now, you got to watch out. In many cases, these banks will charge you a fee of as much as 5% of the balance you transfer in order to get the 0%. So if you're paying 29%, it might pay off. If you're paying 12%, it may not pay off. So you got to be careful about the fees when you do these balance transfers.
And the payoff of a mortgage, I mean, that's the goal. Get your mortgage paid off. I wanted to ask this question about a new program that's been introduced in the marketplace, or maybe it's being reintroduced, but it's called the Equity Optimization Strategy.
That's right.
And you showcase this in your book, Master Your Debt.
I do.
What's that strategy?
Okay, the Mortgage Equity Optimization Strategy allows you to pay your mortgage off in typically about 5 to 7 years instead of 30 years on the same level of income you've got today. Now, this is not something you're going to hear about from most banks because they would much rather that you pay them for 30 years, okay? So that's why it may be new to an awful lot of people. It started in Australia, actually, about 10 years or so ago, and now it's started to come here. And if you do it right, it can really work very, very well. Here's the concept. With a traditional 30-year mortgage, you pay the mortgage the same amount for 30 years, and most of the interest is front-end loaded. First 10 to 15 years, you're paying mostly interest, and you make relatively small progress on the principal. And meanwhile, you're keeping your income in the checking account, earning nothing. So this is the way the banks like it. You keep your money earning nothing that they lend to you at 29% on a credit card, and you pay them for interest for 30 years with all of it front-end loaded. Mortgage optimization turns that around completely and uses what's called a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, which is a liquid line against your house. You can put money in, you can take it out, you can write checks, whatever you like. You keep your income in the HELOC instead of in the checking account, and every day that goes by, you're making more and more progress on your principal. So every month that goes by, the amount you owe on your mortgage goes down as you pay your mortgage off faster until the whole thing is paid off in 5-6 years, something like that. Put in the numbers that apply to your situation, your income, your expenses, the value of your house, your mortgage, all different things, and says, okay, based on what you're doing today, it'll take you 28 and a half years to pay off your mortgage, whatever it may be. Based on the numbers you just gave us, it's 6.5 years to pay off your mortgage, whatever the numbers come out to be. And then they take you step by step through it to actually implement this program. There are 3 things you need to make mortgage equity optimization work. Got to have equity in your house, because it's got to be something to borrow against for the HELOC. Got to have a credit score of about 680 or higher to qualify for the HELOC. And you have to have positive cash flow. During the month, more money coming in than going out, because that positive cash flow is what's going towards the principal balance to pay your mortgage off faster. So a lot of people implement a program like that and literally save 25 years off their mortgage and tens of thousands of dollars in interest.
Hey, Jordan, you're too good to let go, so I'm going to bring you back on the fourth segment for just a little bit because I got a couple questions I want to ask you.
Sure.
We got to break for a quick commercial. You're listening to the Dino and Nelson Show here on K-Talk AM 1150. We can be reached at 888-814-3335. That's 888-814-3335 or at dinoandnelson.com. We'll be right back with Jordan.
Talk about everything that you care about, because one topic makes for a boring conversation. K-Talk AM 1150, the voice of reason.
What else is new?
This is Nelson from the Dino and Nelson Show, and I want to tell you about one of our show partners, Efficient Services Escrow. As the name implies, Efficient Services Escrow provides lenders, realtors, home buyers, and sellers with fast, efficient, but most importantly, worry-free specialty escrow services. Dino and I know firsthand that real estate transactions can be complex and layered with areas of exposure for details to be handled incorrectly. The number one reason we work with Efficient Services Escrow is their seasoned veterans are reliable, proactive, and best of all, provide us worry-free escrow services. With any real estate sale, purchase, or refinance, call our trusted friends at Efficient Services Escrow, 949-208-9600. That's 949-208-9600, and let them know that Dino and Nelson sent you. Efficient Services Escrow at 949-208-9600 or online at efficientescrow.com.
What do you do when your bank simply says no to your real estate purchase? Polaris Equity Group provides an answer. Yes. Our flexible purchase and bridge loan programs are the direct result of our involvement in more than 3,000 transactions of varying size and complexity. Since 1991, Polaris has completed over $500 million in real estate investment transactions using both debt and equity solutions. When the bank says no, Call Polaris Equity Group to hear yes. 949-727-4333. That's 949-727-4333. Logical decisions to execute a timely close. 949-727-4333. Or find us online at polarisequitygroup.com.
In a chaotic real estate market, you want peace of mind when it comes to the home you're purchasing. Roadrunner Exterminating, a family-owned and operated company providing structural repairs, local treatments, and fumigation. Roadrunner Exterminating is a licensed, bonded, and insured expert in termite, pest control, and general contracting. For fast and efficient service, plus the peace of mind of knowing the condition of your new home, call Roadrunner Exterminating at 866-398-BUGS. That's 866-398-BUGS. Or on the web at roadrunnerexterminating.com. As always, mention the Dino and Nelson Show and get a free home inspection. 866-398-BUGS or roadrunnerexterminating.com. General Contractor License 922404. Nominal fee for escrow inspections.
The Dino and Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Dino and Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Ever been frustrated during a real estate transaction, wondering just when you'll receive that phone call or status about your title insurance or escrow? With Title 365, consumers like you gain unprecedented access to the status of their title insurance and escrow transactions in real time. Title 365 was created with all the benefits you'd expect, so it's never been easier to download your documents, see what's outstanding, post a question, or connect with all parties online. Ask your realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title 365 today, or visit Title365.com.
Are you frustrated with what sounds like all mortgage radio? Record low rates, rates may not be here for long, the biggest brain freeze in the history of mankind, call cash cow now, blah, blah, blah. Call First Centennial Mortgage and speak to Dino and Nelson direct. Guess what? We answer the phone. Market-leading rates that are guaranteed and our close-on-time guarantee. This week's rates plunged again. Our 30-year fixed rates are priced in the mid-threes for conforming loan amounts up to $625,000, and in the remarkable category of jumbo financing, up to $2 million, rates below 4%. Truly exceptional opportunities, guaranteed.
Market-leading rates brought to you by Dino and Nelson from First Centennial Mortgage. They're not a call center. Call today and deal with Dino or Nelson direct at 888-814-3335. 888-814-3335. First Centennial Mortgage. Market-leading rates, guaranteed. Call 888-814-3335 or text the word REFI to 313131. First Centennial Mortgage. NMLS number 132763. All rates subject to change without notice.
Welcome back to the Dino and Nelson Show here on K-Talk, AM 1150. We can be reached at 888-814-3335. That's 888-814-3335 or at dinoandnelson.com. We have Jordan on the phone with us over here. And Jordan, we were just talking about the optimization, basically paying off your mortgage in a much quicker time frame than usual.
Right.
So I'm pretty familiar with the program. I've looked into it. I actually do like it. I found a lot of resistance with my clients with it, though.
It's a different mindset. It really is.
It is.
What were their challenges?
Well, it goes from a 30-year fixed to a HELOC, which is an adjustable rate loan. So
that's correct.
It scares the heck out of people.
See, I can calm them immediately. Okay, first of all, if you pay the whole thing off in 5 years or so, there's very little chance for it to go up. And even if the interest rate on the HELOC does go up, you are paying off the principal at such a fast rate that the interest rate on the HELOC hardly matters. In fact, today the rate on the HELOC is maybe 3 or 4%, something like that. They'll say, let's just bring it up to 10%, just some ridiculous amount, which is never going to happen, but just see what happens. So instead of paying it off in 6.5 years, you pay it off in 7 years or something like that. It adds a few months to the payoff. See, what bankers don't ask, what you don't ask bankers is, how fast am I paying off my principal? What most people do when they shop for a mortgage is, what's the rate and what's the payment? Okay, that's not talking about how fast you pay off the principal. That's the key to it. So even if the interest rate's a little bit higher, it doesn't affect you hardly at all.
See, and I'm a total agreement with you on this one. which I thought you were a little too conservative in the beginning, but I guess you're not.
No.
And when I look at this, I truly do think, even if your rate's adjustable, especially over the next couple of years, we're supposed to be having all-time low rates. So
they're going to go low. The Federal Reserve has officially said they're going to keep the rate at 0 to the end of 2014.
Which means for the next couple of years, you can pay off so much of your
Correct.
principal balance, right? So even when the rate goes up, you owe very little left on your house at that
That's
point.
right.
I actually
your
have
principal is being paid off at an accelerating rate. Each month, you pay off more and more principal. So the interest rate becomes less and less effective, as you pay off more and more principal at the time.
Yeah, I actually have a personal friend that did this, paid his house off in 4 years.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Totally doable.
It's amazing. For more information on this, call the Dino and Nelson Show at 888-814-3335. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. You've been great.
Thank you. It's been great.
Jordan Goodman, America's Money Answers Man. Thanks, Jordan. We appreciate you being on the show.
All right. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Take care. You're listening to Dino and Nelson here on K-Talk AM 1150. We have another special guest, Mr. Rod Thyberg from TLC Real Estate Services.
Rod, when we were spending some time together on the way up here today, and you were your focus is obviously in the short sale community.
Do you mind if I interrupt you for a second?
No, you usually do.
I was trying to welcome the guy before you just nailed him with questions right away. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
How are you today?
Guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you doing good?
Doing great.
Good. Okay. Go ahead, Nelson.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, the short sale, you've been at this for about, 10, 12 years now, but it's really come into its own in the last few years. Just tell us a little bit about the short sale environment that you find out there.
Well, currently it appears that probably half of the homes that are on the market, maybe just slightly below half, tend to be short sales. So that is the bulk of available properties that are out there.
And I'm going to state the obvious, but short sales are simply the bank that's allowing that seller to sell the property lower than what's owed against it.
Precisely.
And so the marketplace, there's been what started out maybe a few years ago, a couple people at the county steps buying foreclosure properties, to now every investor jumping into this space. Is it crowded?
Very crowded, yes. In fact, your traditional home buyer out there is finding himself competing against a lot of institutional buyers that are out there now. Currently, what I consider swallowing up the inventory. So it is tough to buy a home out there actually right now. The boom that's been going on for the last 90 days has been, amazing.
And when you say institutional buyers, you're talking about the capital groups that have been formed either on the corporate level or just individuals that are pooling funds, and they're coming in and just buying anything they can grab.
Yeah, there's two different types of buyers out there that I would consider institutional buyers. First and foremost would be the guys that are out there that are trying to buy these homes, rehab them, and flip them, put them back up on the market. Call them home flippers. I think there's a few TV shows out there, reality shows actually out there that show that. Anyhow, the others are what's come out of the woodwork recently, which are these institutional buyers that are actually buying these homes for long-term hold formats.
Keeping them in their portfolios.
Correct. So they're leasing them out, looking for a certain amount of return, a modest return on their investment, and ultimately going to be liquidating these properties at a later date in time when the market again rises.
And are you finding these people are paying cash for the properties?
These are all cash buyers, yes.
So how does a traditional home buyer that just wants to provide a home for their family, how do they compete with that?
It's tough. It takes a good agent. The agent has to be watching the market. It's got to get in early in the bidding process. And really, they have to come in with full price offers and, in most cases, slightly above asking price. And that's how they beat the cash buyers. The cash guys are looking for a little bit of a discount, so they usually come in slightly below asking price. So your typical home buyer, he's got to come in with a higher offer, which makes their offer perhaps more desirable to the seller, which in turn is the bank. So
I'm going to give a shameless plug for Dino and Nelson here, because here's what we've been doing lately. Because you're right, all of our agents that we work with on a regular basis, their clients are not getting their offers accepted, and even ones that are offering full price. And it's multiple offers, bidding wars. So what we've done is we started offering this close on time guarantee that basically says either Dino or Nelson will pay the seller $100 a day if we don't close on time, which obviously shows, confidence in us, because one of the biggest issues is that people that are doing financing can't get their loan closed on time.
And I've been offering that with all of my clients, but I've just packaged that as the Dino close on time guarantee.
Well, it is, because I'm typically the only guy that can close on time.
Oh, there you go.
So if it is an issue, make sure you call Dino, not
I just
Nelson.
like spending your money.
But no, seriously, if you're having a hard time getting accepted, and even if you're already pre-qualified, just give Nelson or myself a call. We will also get you pre-qualified, and we will offer the close on time guarantee. And if need be, we'll step it up one more notch if you still can't get approved, or I should say can't get an offer, and we'll say we can close in 15 days or less. Obviously, that's going to require a lot of work up front on our part, but that's something we can do. If you're interested in that, text the word refi to 313131. Text the word refi to 313131.
And I want to encourage our listeners as well, if they have an interest to enter into the short sale community, obviously to contact Rod, they can do that through our website. We'll have his information posted there. Rod Thyberg from TLC Real Estate Services, appreciate you being on the show. And it also showcases something that we have with one of our show partners with Polaris Equity Group that's allowing people to come in and effectively function as all cash buyers.
Yeah, it's truly 100% financing on investment properties. It's a little too entailed to talk about right now, but call us at 888-814-3335, and we'll tell you all about it. But it is 100% financing on investment properties.
Rod, thanks for being with us. Dino, I wanted to change gears and take a look at just a couple of things that have come up in the Stump Dino segment. This is never really that hard for me, but we had a situation come up with somebody trying to prove occupancy. And I just found it fascinating that there's a resistance out there from the lending community. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Somebody was downsizing their home. They had a luxury property. They wanted to move out. It was more space, more upkeep, more home than they actually need with their kids now getting a little bit older and moving out into their college years. They wanted to downsize, and the home that they found was in a great neighborhood, but it's a home that needs fixing up. And the lender is giving resistance, saying, we don't buy it. We don't think they're going to go from this $2.5 million property that's the Taj Mahal down into this beachside dump. What do you do with that?
That's a tough one. It really is. You somehow have to figure out how to convince the underwriter, and this is the sad part about the situation. In the old days, we would sign something stating that they are going to move in, an affidavit, which we still do. However, they would actually the bank would send somebody to the door a month or two later, knock on the door, and verify that you're living there, which I think is absolutely fair. But now they won't do that. It's totally to the underwriter's discretion if she believes you're not, which I hate any kind of underwriting that has to do with mood swings or anything like that,
Yeah. So this next question, the USA National Title, I want to get them on the phone real quick and have them deal with this particular situation. We have our USA National Title expert, Bill Bergschneider, on the line, and I want to ask this question, Bill. We had a situation come up with a 2-unit condominium. This is down in one of the coastal communities. Family owns both units, and they came up with a decision that it made no sense to carry on with the Condominium Homeowners Association, so they simply dissolved the association and now own the property. It's still registered as a condominium. Are there liabilities with that, or should they change the legal vesting? What should they do?
Okay, couple situations. Not entirely uncommon that you get the situation, especially down in the South Bay in the coastal communities. You've got 2-unit condos. The legal description they would never really want to change. That's a matter of subdivision. So when they subdivided the property, the least complicated way to do this type of subdivision is to create a condominium, and you have 2 units. Condominiums require, for lending purposes and insurance purposes, an association. So it comes down to the next issue. They would need to maintain something for the future. If they own both units, they don't have to worry about maintenance necessarily because they're going to maintain it. They don't have to worry about insurance should something happen to somebody in the common area. Typically, if it's 2 owners and they only want to do a simple association, I insure you as an additional loss payee on the policy, and you insure me. We are the association. It's not so formal that one of us wants to get a loan when we have to include the fact that, XYZ Bank is going to be an additional loss payee. Really boils down to insurance, exposure, maintenance, Certainly never changing a legal description. That would be going a little too far.
And USA National Title doesn't have any issue with then issuing title insurance in this kind of configuration?
None whatsoever.
All right, great.
And actually, Bill, quick question. So if the bylaws state you have to have all this different stuff, if you are the two owners, can you change the bylaws?
You could. It may not behoove you. If you go to get a loan or when you go to sell one of those units, you may have an issue. What would be better for them to do is just maintain it. Bylaws can only be objected to by the homeowners. Being that you are the homeowner, there's no one to object.
Great. Thank you so much for all your expertise.
Anytime.
Talk to you next week.
Thank you. Bye now.
Next week, we have Shelly Sparks, Feng Shui master and author. Does it really impact the value of your home?
I think that's going to be something interesting to take a look at. I see in a lot of different marketplaces listings talking about Feng Shui. I don't totally understand it, but a lot of people think that has a real impact.
No, I know a ton of people that do that. I don't know if it necessarily impacts the value of the home, but for sure there's people that won't buy it if they don't think it's going to be a money-flowing home or a love-enriched environment for them.
How about that?
So you're listening to the Dino and Nelson Show here on K-Talk AM 1150. We can be reached at 888-814-3335, 888-814-3335, or at dinoandnelson.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.